Good morning students, let us see the last part of the story, the Velveteen rabbit. Yes, at the previous class we had discussed about how the boy got fever and the next morning they had planned to go for the seaside. So what has happened? Let us see. Now just then the Nana caught the sight of him. So now Nana had noticed the Benny is lying on the bed, the little rabbit, the velvet rabbit is lying on the bed. What about his old Benny? She asked. She is asking about what you are going to do with the old Benny. That the doctor said, why it's a mash of the scarlet fever gem, burn it at once. What nonsense, give him a new one. He mustn't have any more. So now the doctor had advised not to use any old things which he had played. So doctor had instructed them to burn the toys which he had played. And so the little rabbit was put into the sack with the old picture book and the lot of rubbish and carried out to the end of the garden behind the Paul house. So poultry farm we used to say, where we will grow the ken and all, that is Paul house. So Kolikudu in Tamil we will say. So they had tied all the unwanted the things which he has used by the boy, like the rabbit, little rabbit, as well as the old picture book and unwanted things, that is a rubbish. He had taken all and tied in this, they had taken put it in the sack and they had taken near to the garden which is beyond the Paul house. That was a fine place to make the bonfire, only the gardener was too busy just to attend to it. He had potatoes to dig and the green pie to gather, but the next morning he promised to come and come quick early and burn the whole lot. So now what happened? They had, because that is the best place where they can bonfire, means they can keep fire on it. So only the gardener is busy. The only thing is the gardener is busy because he had to gather the green bean and as well as he want to dig the potatoes. He had to take out the potatoes. Kalangu edukano adhe mari and the green peas pacha patani irukla adu edukano, adu he was busy. The next morning he promised that he come quick and he will burn the whole. That night the boy slept in the different bedroom and he had a new Benny to sleep within. It was a splendid Benny, all white plush with a real glass eye, but the boy was too excited to carry very much about this. For the tomorrow he was going to the seaside and then he himself was such a wonderful thing that he could think of nothing else. So the next morning what happened? The boy slept in the another bedroom and he have another companion that is white in color with a real glass eyes. It looks very beautiful than the Velveteen rabbit. And while the boy was asleep dreaming of the seaside, the little rabbit lay among the old picture books in the corner behind the Paul house, and he felt very lonely. The sack had been left untied and it so wrinkled a bit and they able to get his head through this opening and look out. He was shivering a little for he had always been used to sleep in a proper bed, but this time his coat had grown so thin and threadbare from the hanging that it was no longer any perfect protection to him. So usually the Benny will sleep with the old rabbit, the little rabbit sleep with the boy in a comfortable bed, but now he don't have a bed because it's lying on the sack. So even the sack was not closed, so it is easily it can see what is happening outside. Now it won't feel comfortable and its coat was torn, means the threads are came out and it's feeling a little bit shivering. Again and again I am telling it's an imaginary story, don't believe it will happen. So nearby he could see the thicket of the raspberry canes growing tall and close like a tropical jungle. In those shadows he had played with a boy on the bygone morning. So near there is a raspberry canes, the plants are growing like a forest. Jungle means here forest, there they had used the word woods. Woods also forest, jungle also forest. Okay. So it's recalling the memory when he was played with the boy. It's recalling all the memories when he had spent with the boy. He thought that those long sunlit hours in the garden, how happy they were, and the great sadness came over him. He seems to see him all the past before him, each more beautiful than the other. The furry hat in the flower bed, the quite every evening in the wood. They lie in the blanket and the little ants run over his path. The wonderful day they were. First they knew he was real. He thought of the skinned horse, so wise and gentle, and all that he had told him. So what use of was to be loved and lost one's beauty and become real if it's all ended like this? And the tears and the real tear wrinkled down his little shabby Velveteen nose and fell to the ground. So now this rabbit is recalling the past memory, how it was enjoyed with the boy, and how they are happy, and now the sadness occurs in the mind because it's thinking about the beauty. It has lost the beauty. It seems to see all the past before him, each more beauty than the other. The fairy hut in the bed floor. It's thinking about the fairy hut which is made by the boy with the flower bed, and quite evening in the wood, how they had played in the woods in the forest, and how it's lay on the blanket, how the little ants were played on his paw. And wonderful day when they knew that he was real. When the boy had stated the statement that it was not a toy, it is a real. All these things it is recalling. He thought of the skin horse. He is thinking about them skin horse and how it is wise and gentle, and all he had told. He is recalling that the things which are said by the skin horse, and of use of all it's to be loved and lost one beauty and become real if it is ended like this. So all these things which is really loved by the boy and it's end in a bad way, and the tears and real tears. Now it's the rabbit had started to shed their tears with the grievance. Now what happened? The shabby velvet nose fell to the ground. The tears, the little shabby, the tears started to fell on the ground. And then the strange thing happened, for where the tears had fallen, the flowers grow out of the ground. So where the tear had fallen, the kannir enga viludho, anga what happened? The flower grown out of the ground. So from that ground, the tear where they fallen, that place, the flower grown. A mysterious flower, not at all like they are grown in the garden. It is a shelter green leaves and the color of emerald, and in this center of the leaf the blossom like a golden cup. So now the flower which is blossomed, it's not a actual real usual flower, it is unusual, and how it looks like, it is a slender green color and it's the color of emerald green color is there, and it's the center of the flowers, it's a blossom, it's a, one blossom is there, the flower is there, it is like a golden cup. It was so beautiful, and the little rabbit forgot to cry and just lay there watching it. So simply it forgot the worry and started to watch the flower, and presently the blossom opened, and out of it were the stepped up fairy. So immediately when the flower blossomed, what happened? One fairy stepped out. Or fairy and or angel adalanda veliye varanga. She was quite the loveliest fairy in the whole world. Her dress was of pearl and dewdrop, and there were flowers round the neck and in her hair. So it was quite loveliest fairy in the world. In the whole world, it is the loveliest, means it's looking very beautiful. Her dress was pearl, muttu mari irukku dress irukku, and few dewdrops means panitholi madiri irukku, and there was a flowers round her neck. The flowers are there around her neck, and in her hair, in the hair also there is some flowers are there, and her face was like the most perfect flower of all. How its face looks like? It looks like a perfect flower. And she came close to the little rabbit and gathered him up with his arm and kissed him on the velveteen nose that was all damned from crying. So damned from crying. So what happened? Now the fairy, it kissed the rabbit face. Little rabbit, she said, "Don't you know who I am?" The little rabbit, she said, the fairy are calling, "Little rabbit, don't you know who I am?" Enna yaarnu theriyada, it's asking. The rabbit looked up at her, and it seems to him that he had seen her face before, but he could not think where. I am a nursery magic fairy, she said. I take care of you all, the playing thing the children have loved. Then they were old and thrown out, the children does not need them anymore. Then I came and I take them away with me and turn them into the real. So, it's telling, it is the fairy is telling that it is a fairy of the nursery, and it is taking care of the plaything which was the children's all they left, and the old thing it is taking care of the old toys which the children were played. Wasn't real before, asked the little rabbit, and it is saying wasn't I real before, நான் இதுக்கு முன்னாடி ரியலா இல்லையா, it's asking like that. You are real to the boy, fairy said, because he loved you. Now you shall be real to everyone. And she held the little rabbit close his arm and flew with them into the wood. So, what happened? Now, the fairy replied, you are real only to the boy because the boy loved you very much. Now, you are going to real to everyone. So, it takes the rabbit on his arm and it flew into the wood. Forest. It was light now, from the moon has risen. All the forest was beautiful, and the front of the fragrance shone like a frozen silver. In the open glade between the tree trunk, the wild rabbit danced with the shadow on the velvet grass, but they saw the fairy. Then all stopped dancing and stood around in the ring to stare her. So, now what happened? It's become night, and the moon has risen. The moon came, and the forest is looking very beautiful, and all the bracken stones like a frozen silver. It's all the branches of the trees is looking like a frozen silvers, and in the open glade between the tree trunk and the wild rabbit dance. All the rabbits have started to dance between the tree trunk, and they are dancing with the shadows of the velvet grass. They are dancing on the velvet grass, and but when they saw the fairy, what happened? They will stop dancing and they stared, means they are staring at her. I have brought you a new playfellow, the fairy said. The fairy informed that the fairy had brought a new playfellow. You must be very kind to him and teach him all the need to know in the rabbit land, for he is going to be live with you forever and ever. So, now the fairy is giving the instruction to the remaining rabbits what they have to take care of it, and I have to teach them what is the rabbit land. What are the things the rabbit are doing in their particular place, that is rabbit land. What is the habit of the rabbit, they have to teach them. How it jump, how it walk, how it eats, all the things we have to teach. And he kissed the little rabbit again and put him down to the grass. By kissing the rabbit, it dropped the rabbit down. Run and play, little rabbit, she said. The fairy asked the little rabbit to go and play. But the little rabbit sat quite still for the moment and never moved. For when he saw all the wild rabbits dancing around him, and suddenly remembering about the hind limbs, and he did not want them to see that they was made all in a one piece. He did not know that they were all fairy kissed him, and the last time he had changed him altogether. Without knowing that it was changed into without knowing the reality, simply the little rabbit is sitting quiet, and he don't want to show that it is made up of a single piece, because it is a toy. It is thinking still it is a toy, but it don't know. After kissing of the fairy, it turned into a real rabbit. It don't know. Without knowing that, simply it is sitting quiet, and he might have sat there for a long time, too shy to move, if just something hadn't trackled his nose, and before he thought that it was doing, he lifted his hind toes to scratch it. So, what he is doing, it's trying now, it's trying to scratch the ground. It's lifting his hind toes, the paw of the animal, the foot of the animal, and he found that it was actually had a hind leg. Now only it find out that it have a hind leg. Instead of the digny velveteen, he had a brown fur, soft and shiny. His eyes changed by themselves. Its eyes moving here and there, and his whiskers were too long. They can brush the grass. Now the whisker become too long, and they can easily brush the grasses. He gave up one leap, and joy of using his hind limbs was so great that he went springing about the turf on them, jumping aside away and wrinkling round, and the others did, and they grow so excited that when at the last he did stop to look for the fairy, she had gone. So, now what happened? It started to jump like a other rabbit. It started to play like the other rabbit. with the joy, it's playing. So, when at last he did stop to look for the fairy, she had gone. He was trying to see the fairy, but fairy had gone. He was a real rabbit at last, at the home with the other rabbit. So, it started to live as a real rabbit with the other rabbit. Autumn passed and the winter. In the spring, when the day grown warm and sunny, the boy went out to the play in the wood behind the house. Now, the autumn passed, the winter passed, then the spring came. It's so warm and sunny. The boy went to play behind the wood in the forest which is behind his house. And while he was playing, two rabbits crept out from the brackens and peeped at him. The two rabbits are seeing. Peeping means just we are seeing by raising our head, that is peeping. One of them were brown all over, but the another had strange marking under his fur. One is brown in color and another has a different marking on his fur. As thought long ago, he had been spotted. He was spotted, and the spot has shown through. Now still it have a spot on his body, and about a little soft nose and his round black eyes was something familiar. So now the soft nose and the eyes are very familiar to the boy. So the boy thought of himself. The boy is thinking, we used to say no, that he was become familiar. That eyes and the nose are familiar to him because he well known about the rabbit. He is thinking, why he looks just like my old Benny that was lost then I was a scarlet fever. So he is telling me, you are looking like my old Benny when I was lost the Benny when he has a scarlet fever. He have a viral fever at the time he had lost. Why you are looking like my old Benny? The boy asked to the rabbit. But he never know that it is a real and was his own Benny. Now the boy don't know, it's become real and its own it is a rabbit which he had. Come back to look at the child who had helped me. Come back to look at the child who had first helped him to be a real. So now the rabbit had came back to see the boy who had helped him, who made the rabbit to be the real at the first. So this is a story this is an imaginary story how this toy become the real because of the love of the owner of the toy. So thank you students. I hope you had enjoyed the story. It is an imaginary story. Don't think it is a real one. You go through the story for your better understanding. Thank you my dear students.